Hello, I'm Scott Shaughnessy, and Molly Hull with Washington National Tax has joined us today to discuss a growing nuisance, in fact a growing problem, scams to defraud taxpayers. Molly, the IRS recently indicated that they intend to continue to hear from taxpayers who receive unsolicited phone calls from individuals demanding payment and fraudulently claiming to be from the IRS. In fact, in a recent newsletter, the IRS received over 90,000 complaints through their telephone hotline and to date have identified 1,100 victims who've lost an estimated $5 million due to these scams. And actually, in the last week or two, a fraud alert was issued by the IRS that scammers were using emails and websites and making contact with international financial institutions that are registered to comply with FATCA. They're seeking account holder identities and financial account information.
Yeah, it's a real problem, Scott. And in fact, there was a recent case where the IRS Criminal Division broke up a group down in Alabama who had spent 2 years accumulating people's identities, stealing them, and then filed 500 returns with fraudulent refunds amounting to over $1 million. These refunds came in the nature of checks from the Treasury, direct deposit to bank accounts, and debit cards were issued.
That's just amazing. And the problem just seems to be getting worse and worse with our increasing reliance on technology for commerce, for communications. These identity thieves, these scammers, are becoming more and more sophisticated. We've all heard the recent news stories about information security breaches at the government, large retailers, and important banking institutions.
Yeah, but where we usually hear from it, Scott, is from our individual taxpayers who've received an email, for example, purporting to be from the IRS. They even have an IRS logo on the email, so it looks very real. And they're asking for information such as Social Security numbers or, as you said, bank account numbers or things like that.
So many of these attempts seem to come largely by email. Are there other ways that these groups or individuals may attempt to phish?
Absolutely. They may be trying to reach people by phone or by fax or by text message, social media, all different kinds of ways. I've actually been phoned by someone purporting to be from the IRS trying to get my information.
Wow. I'm just curious, on the caller ID, did it look like it was in fact legitimately from the IRS?
It absolutely
Wow.
did. It showed as being from the IRS. So, had I not known better, I probably would have given them information they were asking for.
Wow. Well, that's tricky and actually pretty scary. Certainly, if we're talking about email, where emails are concerned, if there's a link in the email, don't click on it. If there's an attached document, don't launch it. If the email looks suspicious.
And in addition, Scott, if somebody gets this kind of thing, they should contact their tax advisor if they have one, so that person can look into it because they'll have a lot more experience with these fraudulent activities. And they can forward the email to an IRS email that the IRS can then look into it and let them know if anything's going on.
Now, a lot of people may not know, but the IRS does have a web page that offers advice and helpful steps to follow if you've been a victim or a near victim of fraud. Isn't that right?
That's right. Actually, the IRS website will provide a lot of information to allow the individuals to find out what to do if they have been a victim or they think they've been a victim, some proactive steps they can take. And the website, I believe, also provides the email address to send any potentially fraudulent emails to for the IRS to investigate.
Well, in addition to that, I understand the IRS has put out a publication 4535, which is available on their website. It informs taxpayers how to be wary of identity theft, what to do in the case that they've been a victim or suspect they've been a victim of identity theft. And this publication is available in Spanish, Vietnamese, and English. And I also understand they've put up a video in American Sign Language, and there's another video they've put up there called The Dirty Dozen Tax Scams.
And they've also, if individuals go to visit this IRS website, there's some podcasts available there as well. But if somebody thinks they have actually been a victim of identity theft, they can go to the IRS website, irs.gov, and get the identity theft affidavit form. and send that into the IRS. This will flag it to the IRS so they can keep an eye out for any filings using that individual's Social Security number. And in response, the IRS will also send the individual what they call an IP PIN, which is an identity protection PIN, which the individual will use on a go-forward basis for any tax filings. And the IRS will actually furnish that individual with a new one, unique, every single year, so they're never using the same number twice.
So if you believe somebody has used your Social Security number fraudulently, they should notify the IRS immediately, because this identity theft affidavit that you just mentioned can go a long way to helping smooth future tax filings.
That's right, Scott.
Well, these are lots of good points, Molly. Very interesting, in fact, and thanks so much for joining us today. Generally speaking, if you believe you've been the victim of identity theft, or you actually are the victim of identity theft, contact your financial institutions, including your credit card companies, and certainly contact the tax authority in your country. In the case of the United States, that's the IRS. Thank you for joining us today.